What's going on today, Internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. Are you getting FOMO for all the new flip devices coming out here in 2024? Well, what if I told you that right now you could get yourself a flip device from Powkiddy, the V90, that thanks to some new Miyoo Custom Firmware, there's some quality life improvements as well as some improved performance coming out of this device than we've seen in the past. Let's take a look. There is some great things out there about the Powkiddy V90, including the price, coming in around $30, which I would assume is going to undercut the new flip devices that are coming out, which are relatively the same size and will be playing similar things to what this can play as well. This, I would say, is an up to PS1 device. I wouldn't stretch it any further than that. In fact, you're going to have difficulty finding an emulator past that anyways. But you can get really good PS1 performance out of this if you know what you're doing. I have seen some people with the new custom beta software that are complaining about performance. If you're willing to put in the steps, you can get some really good stuff out of this. If you're not, the old CFW Miyoo software will work just fine for you. You're going to see some good performance there as well. But the quality of life improvements, I think, are really worth it here on Beta 2. And let's take a look at a few of those right now. We're going to try to keep this video somewhat short, so we're going to take a look at some of the quality of life improvements, and I'll discuss to you what the differences are between the two different softwares. Links to both of them are down on my thingamabob, as well as a link to my review on this device, which has been out for a while now, but continues to get better because of the community support around it. Some of the first things that we want to go through is most of the things on the new beta aren't really installed on it right off the bat. So when you download the new custom firmware, everything runs off of Retroarch for the most part. So if you want to get emulators outside of Retroarch, you actually have to install those yourself. The good news is they have all the emulators on their GitHub and instructions on how to install them. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The other thing I would look at is getting the PSX-ReARMed library, and that's the top 100. It's actually 125 games for the PS1 with the best configuration settings for the Powkiddy V90. Really cool. Just follow your directions. The one thing that I see the biggest complaint with people have been reviewing it is they're not naming their files correctly. So just go in and make sure your files are named correctly, and the directions again right there on the ReARMed GitHub, and I've got a link to that down on my thingamabob as well. So there's some big changes here. So anything you're going to see here, I probably added. There wasn't a calculator or anything on here, but again, those things are in the availability for the new software, so you can really customize it to what you want. That's because right now the beta is running on two different builds. One's more stable than the other, and so they each offer different things. But the main body of the new CFW is going to be Retroarch, and then everything else you kind of add as you want and as you go. Some things that I've added to this, I put an e-reader on here. We do have a terminal, so we can go in and make changes if we need to that way. We do have a media player now, so if you want to watch movies or put audio on here, you have the ability to do that. You can also do audio recording on here. There is a video recording option. I don't know why. I haven't tried, I guess, to see if you can record your gameplay, but that would be interesting. I'm not really sure. I might have to try that out. There's a couple things I haven't tried yet. I've been kind of tinkering around with this since the beginning of the year, as some different emulators have become available for it, just to kind of get it to where I want it. I think I'm comfortable enough now to show this to the point where if this is something that you're looking at possibly doing, I think that you could do it and be successful with it. I did shoot video of actually doing the install and how to put the stuff on, and for some reason the file corrupted. Don't have time to do that again right now, but if that is something you're interested, leave a comment down on the thingamabob and I'll try to come back out and make another video of that. So you're also adding some serial port stuff, so you can actually do your transfers now from your computer to your device without pulling out your memory card, which is pretty awesome. There's just a couple of things that were added to it. As far as the cores go, this core section is going to be any games that you've downloaded into Retroarch, as well as any of your cores for Retroarch. They do come with a couple games that they downloaded into Retroarch as well, because they are test games, so you're okay to have them. They're not illegal or anything like that as far as I know. That wouldn't make any sense for testing, so it's just the versions of them that are out there, so usually a free or demo version, just so you can do that. But then you can go through here and you can see your cores individually, so instead of signing into Retroarch, you can decide what cores that you want to play for which system. You do also now have access to Pico 8. No port master as of now. I'm going to assume that that's probably not going to come to this. You're going to be playing up to PS1, so nothing beyond that. You do also have a SimpleUI option, so with the new CFW, you can download the SimpleUI menu overlay and make it look like SimpleUI. Other overlay you can do is this one, which I think is really cool. Not quite the same as SimpleUI, but pretty close. So your overlay will put all your consoles in here, and these are based off of those cores. I prefer something where I can tinker a little bit more, but that if you are looking for just the most basic thing you can possibly do, that would be the route to go. Here, I've got all my emulators. So I have emulators that I've downloaded for all these different systems, and that makes it possible to do some of the things that I want to tweak that aren't available in Retroarch for tweaking, as well as we do know that some standalone emulators do work better than what is offered in Retroarch. It is kind of, it's intuitive to be able to do it. The other software doesn't run off of Retroarch as its primary way to play ROMs. It runs off of emulators. So I went through and found the emulators that I liked from the other build. Again, they are on their website, and then I just downloaded those. You do have your favorite section, then you also do have a section that's full of ports and ROM hacks. Like I said, I don't think Port Master is going to come to this, but there are available ports out there that you can download onto this. So I've got like Duke Nukem, Doom, stuff like that you are able to put onto this device, and you can find that through their website. Some of these will automatically download when you install the software. And then you have your settings where you can change your skins and things. If you saw my last video, I ran a comic book theme, so that is available on here as well. Same themes that were on the other one. You can also download some themes, again, through that GitHub when you're on there. Let's talk about PS1 emulation. The biggest thing that I think that we're seeing right now is people aren't configuring it correctly. So I would recommend just running the ReARMed and change a couple of things, and bam, you're going to have good PS1 performance. But I've seen a couple of videos recently where people were like, yeah, not getting better performance or it's worse. I would start with changing your CPU. You want to run your CPU at about 792, 798-ish. You can zero it in a little bit more and clock it up, but this is kind of right where I would recommend running your CPU. That is per the recommendation of ReARMed in their tutorial that's written out on how to get the best performance out of PS1. But if you do the ReARMed, all you got to do is download it, unzip it, drop it into your ROM files, and then just make sure that your queues and stuff match the naming convention. It also uses PBP files, so that kind of makes a difference as well, and that's something you can look at in there as far as exact file types and what have not. We'll take a look at a couple of games, and then I'm going to go through some really important things about this update. First off, we're just going to hit a couple of systems. I don't want this to be a long video, and I don't want it to be about playing video games. I just kind of want to show you the update real quick, just like a quick preview. It is, again, still in beta. I'm going to play a Game Boy Advance game the way it's set up, and then I'm going to do running it off of an emulator to show you the performance difference. And I think that if you've seen other reviews of this, this is going to help track why people are complaining about performance. We're going to start off with Mario Kart on GBA. I've seen this in a lot of reviews, and somebody already asked me about this as far as getting performance out of it based off of my last video I did, but they are running this software. So I figured I'd use this opportunity here to show you how to do it. This change isn't as drastic in the last revision of their software because in the last revision, they were using standalone cores and not Retroarch for this. So we're just going to do a quick run here real quick. Now remember, we did turn up the CPU and stuff like that, so we are actually clocking up a little bit higher. This gets decent battery life, not really going to affect it that much with the overclocking on there. We're just going to run a random first race. I'll do the same race on both of them. I don't know if the characters will be the same, but I'm going to do the same race on both of them, and then we'll go from there. So this here is going to run under 30 FPS for the most part, and I'll show you the difference when we get to the next one. I don't think we can run a FPS counter on the standalone, but yeah, so we're running about 22 FPS here. I know we're only running 50cc because I haven't played it on this device so much, so it's not unlocked to go above that, but you'll see things like when you hit these boxes, for instance, it doesn't really look right. And we are not moving very fast. It took it that entire time to choose what I got from that box, so yeah, it's just not quick. Drop down to 20 frames per second, so you get an idea anyway. So like I said, we're just going to do a quick look at these, and then we can kind of move on. So we're going to go over to the standalone emulator. And again, this is how the last one was running, was on standalones. Now I did obviously make the changes I needed to in the standalone, and I did have the best performance I could get out of that. This one has rumble in it. I don't think that this has a rumble motor. I should put one in here, actually. And you know, playing Game Boy Advance, I mean, this is a Game Boy Advance clone, right? You want Game Boy Advance to perform the best, even probably better than PlayStation. And Game Boy Advance has such a robust library. That's what this is made for, and there's just such cool stuff to play in GBA. So now we're going to take a look at this, and this is going to run around 60 FPS, about 60 to 63. Oh, wrong gas button. So it looks and plays a little different than running it through RetroArch. Now I'm sure there's a setting there somewhere or a different RetroArch core you can use, but by default, if you use that default core, that was the performance of the default core, so now we're talking just the standalone is just cruising. And this particular standalone, for some reason, doesn't have an FPS counter, but that's okay. You can tell it's about 60. It's a day and night difference to the 20 to 22 that other one was running. So now we're going to go to the next example. We're going to do, what are we going to do? We're going to do a PS1 game. So I'll just show you the difference. So these are going to be closer. If we go back now and we go over to our cores, and we're going to go to, I was trying to screw around with the ReARMed core on here to see if I could get it to work better on the RetroArch side. And not really, no. I mean, it's there. So as we go in here, this is still going to be running ReARMed. It's just going to be available through RetroArch instead of running the standalone emulator. We'll do some Crash Bandicoot too. Now with the overclocking, it should help with this a little bit. All right, let's take a look and see how this thing does. So we are at 30 FPS. And it is not the greatest. If we turn up the sound, that's definitely not keeping up. Okay, we need to turn that off. That is absolutely annoying. Whee! So that gives you a pretty good idea of what we're going to get out of this, which is not the greatest, but it's something. I would say this is unplayable, personally. I would say that that's unplayable. Now we'll go play it in the emulator and see what that's all about. And also, while we were raising the CPU, you can lower the clock speed on this and actually get better game performance on PlayStation as well. It's not really necessary for a lot of games, but that is something that you can do. Also, make sure you disable the frame limiter. I don't have frame skip on the emulator. So the last one was 30-ish. In and out, kind of. Why can't I move? I'm just not used to going so fast. I was going so slow before. Once it gets going here and gets everything kind of buffered out, we'll stick around 55 to 60 FPS. I guess 52 to 60. It's going to fluctuate a little bit, but either way, this is a far better experience. Now it's moving so fast I can't even go in the right direction. And our music keeps up. So that's huge. Because that's the first thing to go when you're not right. So I'm not actually sure what the FPS is on this game, but I feel like... Oh, crap. That's all right. We didn't need that anyways. I feel like it might be a little bit lower. I'm not sure. Now, if you saw that, it auto-saved my game when I signed out, so that emulator will actually do that for you. If you've had one of these before, you know that there's a couple things that kill this. One is this. Now your game save data is all gone. Sometimes. It tells you that anyways, or it takes you 15 minutes to reboot it. This is actually staying on. The other thing you can do is just turn it off. Now, it's not recommended you do this. It recommends you go in and still hit the power button. And the other ones, again, it takes, 10, 15 minutes to start this thing up again, because it would get stuck, and then try to recover your files that it thought you lost. Even if you didn't play a game, it thought you'd lose files, so it would try to recover them for you. But this here now, not a problem. The other thing is if you go in and actually just go hit this and go power it off and forget to flip the switch, you'll know next time you go to play it. For one, it will kind of slowly kill the battery in the background, but again, you won't get like that 15-minute boot screen. You also just have to flip the switch off and back on, and you'll load right up like you normally do. That is the biggest improvement that possibly could have happened on here. So I just wanted to give you a quick look of what this kind of entitles and what it looks like, how it operates. And like I said, you can change even, your skins. I could go back to the comic book skin that I was running in my other one because they have the exact same skins in this one. The way this is laid out will take me a little bit longer to get to anything, which is why I was using the other skin or theme. Some other things we have now to use L2 and R2, which never came programmed from Powkiddy to begin with. In the last CFW, you actually had to download a separate app that somebody had written through GitHub to get L2 and R2 to work. Now it's actually built into the software. So no longer an issue. L2 and R2 work right off the bat once you install the software. So that's just a quick look. So now we have a single image where you just install your own emulators as you want. Otherwise, you can just run them right off of Retroarch, so you're not concerned about having to keep those updated if you don't want to. It does have TV out support now, right through here through the aux cable. It's now an initial boot setup when you install the operating system versus go through and continuously do that. So putting this OS is on a little bit easier than the last one was, and it will actually detect and ask you which device you're putting it on, so you don't have to decide if you have a Q90 or a V90 or whatever. It will figure that out for you. Like I said before, you do now have USB support to your computer. You can hook this up as a drive. I still take the card out because I think it takes too long to do it that way, but I'm kind of old school like that, I guess. There is some added support on here for the 1-bit consoles, so you can play 1-bit console games, which you were not able to do before. If you want to play Pokemon, there is now an internal clock on here, which wasn't on here before, so you can actually change the clock based off that internal clock for those games. And I did figure out that video recording is actually in background screen recording, so you can screen record your gameplay. That's going to go right to your SD card, and you're going to pull that out, throw that into your computer. If you go through in your settings, you can set up auto start, so when you click on a game, it will auto start into your save space, which is really nice for a device like this that isn't quite the fastest device, so you just want to get through all those opening menus. And then along with that is added mapping support, so you can change the buttons to however you want. There is an onboard mapper now, which is really neat. You can play with an external gamepad. There was some that would work before, but now if you have a PC hooked to this, you can actually play with an external gamepad through the PC. That's just a few of the updates. It's pages long. If you go look at their GitHub, again, link is down in the thingamabob. If you go look at the 2.0 GitHub, if you decide you want to download it or just want to see more about it, they have a link there that goes through the different updates. The things that I just went over are specific to the last update, to this 2.0 beta launch that happened a few months ago. So that was the most recent beta that has been put out. It's just crazy, like what they're getting out of this little thing. Been out for a couple years now, and they are getting more and more performance. They're getting more customization. It's really becoming a device in and of its own, and it's really going to hold up, I think, with this update, especially once everything's ironed out, against the new Miyoo Mini Flip and the Ambernick. Can't remember what they called it, but Flip. I don't even know if they have an official name for it yet, but the new Ambernick Flip that's coming out. So I am a huge clamshell fan, or it's an XXSP. Yeah, I don't know if it's a 3.5. I can't remember remember. I'm a huge fan of clamshells. I am excited to see what's coming out this year. I've been waiting for this Miyoo Mini Flip. I heard about it last October, and it was supposed to come out in November, and then they said they're going to make sure that comes out before the A30. Now we know the A30 is coming out here anytime. We have no idea when that flip's coming out. So in the meantime, if you want to play with the flip, that's good. It fits in your pocket. Less worries now. You don't have to worry about hitting certain buttons that takes a freaking eternity to go away. Well, it tries to fix a non-problem. Not a problem anymore. You can just get this, throw it in your pocket, and go. And this works throughout the day. It's not the longest battery life, but depending on what you play, the lower end systems obviously is going to last longer. But I have had no problems with battery life on this since I've had it. Now I am down to pretty much, I don't know, probably about 20%, and I've been playing on this for the last 2.5 hours. Kind of give you an idea. Now, if you don't have one of these and you're looking to pick one up, because now you're interested, or you were already interested, now you're excited because now there's so many updates to the software. There's a link to get one of these down on my thingamabob. Probably a couple links actually. Try to find some of the cheaper places you can get them. They have been on sale a lot lately. One of the links will be directly to Powkiddy if you have any other questions about the device to see what it's all about. I do have a discount code in there too. And anytime you use discount code retrospect on Powkiddy, you do get a discount, just to give you a heads up. Do me a favor, leave any questions you have down in the comment sections as well. I can try to answer them for you. I have been playing with this for about 4 months now, so if there's something that comes up that you run into, I should be able to answer the question, or at least try to figure out the answer for you. I haven't loaded it on my Q90 yet because I've been trying to run them on the 2 different versions to kind of do some comparisons, but if I needed to, I could load it on the Q90 as well if somebody has questions about that. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, share this video with your friends because sharing helps grow the channel, and we are a community here and we are trying to grow. We want more friends around here, so we would really do appreciate that. Also, if you haven't already subscribed, there's a button floating around right next to these 2 videos that are up on the side that YouTube chose for you. YouTube says you're going to like them, and whether you like it or not, YouTube's probably right. So I would click on one of those videos and check it out, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.